Welcome back to another edition of the Pagcast. I'm your host, Michael Pagani, joined alongside Minnesota Wild prospect Daemon Hunt. Daemon, welcome to the show. Thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
During this, year of the whole pandemic, and hopefully we're out of it sooner than later with all these vaccines coming out, what have you been doing during quarantine other than hockey?
Well, quarantine it started all the way last March, and it's been pretty long. But you know what? I've been out golfing a lot, and when I can hang out with my friends, I'm definitely trying to get to socialize a bit. But other than that, it's just kind of working out quite a bit, and I got to go down to the States and play for the Iowa Wild there, so that's been keeping me busy too. But honestly, now things are starting to open up. I'm just kind of enjoying the weather. I'm getting out golfing even more now, and just enjoying the summer.
How busy are golf tee times around your area?
Really busy. Yeah, it's you have to book in advance. Yeah.
And I'm sure that I'm sure that you're golfing with some of your Moose Jaw teammates, or is it just friends within your local community?
I'm in Calgary, Alberta, so it's just kind of in this area with all my buddies. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's great that, Alberta, they announced a couple of days ago that they're loosening like all of restrictions. So, on
Yeah.
Canada Day, that is. So that's amazing.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I thought that day would never come, but I think the government's plan was to open it up for Stampede. So obviously, lots of people know what Stampede is, and but yeah, that's exciting. No more masks and etc. So that's amazing. Yeah.
Great to see, Alberta getting there. I know here in Ontario, where I'm situated, things are a bit slower, but hopefully we'll get there one day. I know you guys, Stampede, that's a huge celebration for you guys in Alberta.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, everyone loves it here.
Are you a big Stampede guy?
You know what? I just moved to Calgary this past winter, and I'm planning on to go for my first time in a couple of weeks here. So I'm really looking forward to it.
And I
Yeah.
know that for me, like I went to Calgary, I think about 2 years ago. That was probably my last trip, my last vacation before the pandemic. And we went to the Saddle Dome, like me and my dad, and we toured it. And, right next to it was the Stampede. And I think they either, completely demolished it in another, and they're hosting a Stampede at a different arena, but I'm not too sure what's happening there. But yeah, the Stampede is a huge celebration, and just seeing the people there and getting full stadiums, like that's something that I've missed here in Ontario for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a blast. I bet you like I don't know 60-70% of the people in Calgary and area go to Stampede. So and obviously this year it's a bit more special just with COVID being kind of being cleared out. Of course, it's still around, but with vaccines coming out, it makes things a lot better.
Well, getting into your story a bit here, who is your favorite player growing up?
My favorite player was Matt Calvert. Not many people know who he is, but he's actually my second cousin. And I grew up in a small town. It's called Moosomin, Saskatchewan. And later on in my teens, I moved to Brandon, Manitoba, and that's where Matt lives. And growing up, I watched him play in the Western Hockey League, and now I play in the Western Hockey League too. And he moved on to the National Hockey League, and he's played for Columbus and Colorado in his career. And he works extremely hard, and I really look up to him.
Yeah, I remember watching Matt Calvert actually when he was playing with both the Colorado Avalanche and the Blue Jackets. He was certainly, a face of the Blue Jackets for quite some time there.
Yeah, he was for a season or
Sorry
the
about that. That's my
longest.
dog.
It's all right. He was the longest serving Columbus Blue Jacket. So yeah, he's really special to me, and yeah, he works so hard, and he's such a character guy, and I look up to him so much. So
Well, like you mentioned, you grew up in, Brandon in your, teens there. How was the ice accessibility rink wise for you?
it was great. Brandon, it's a hockey community. It's about 50,000 people, and there's so many good hockey players there. And in the summers, everyone comes together and practices and skates together. So yeah, it was a great setup there, and and I just moved to Calgary, and it's my first summer here, and I love the setup here already too.
I would assume that you would have watched, a lot of Brandon Wheat games as a kid growing up.
I did, yes. Yeah, we would make the drive out to Brandon from Mooseman. It was only about an hour and 15 minutes. So, yeah, we would make the drive out once in a while.
And sorry, just to refresh my memory here, did Matt Calvert play with the Wheat Kings as well?
He did, yes. Yeah, he was a big part of that team, and yeah, I remember watching him when I was really young and just looking up to him, and now I'm playing against Brandon in that rink. So it's pretty special, and it's a pretty good feeling, and yeah.
Well, during your minor leagues, you did play with, the Brandon Wheat Kings kind of like minor system, U15, U16, and U17. What lessons did you learn at the time, and are they applicable to your game today?
Yeah, I learned a lot growing up, but I think one thing that comes to my mind is just your work ethic. You can have all the skill in the world, and I'm blessed to have some skill, but without hard work and dedication, and you have to put in the work. Without that, you won't get anywhere. And I took that in, and I love going on the ice and being one of the hardest workers out there.
And did you play with some of the, same core group of players through your time in the minor leagues with Brandon?
I did actually. It's funny you say that because playing in Brandon, I played with his name's Cole Jordan and Calder Anderson, and I played with them in Brandon. And actually, they got drafted to the Warriors like me, and they're on my team right now. So it's pretty funny how that works out. And there's another guy, Corey King is his name. He grew up just outside of Brandon, and we're really good buddies. And he plays in the Warriors too. So it's pretty funny how everything's kind of worked out. So yeah, it's been a great process there in Moose Jaw.
Everything comes in a full circle, it seems like.
Yeah, absolutely. The hockey world is really small, and you can just see how small it is.
Speaking of that, Bantam draft, you got drafted 15th overall by Moose Jaw in 2017. How did you find out that you got drafted?
I was in Winnipeg, and I was at Hockey Manitoba camp. I was trying to make Team Manitoba when I was 15 years old, and it's funny how it worked out. But we weren't allowed our phones. They took our phones away, and so I didn't know what was going on. The draft was that morning, and I was at the rink, and we were getting ready to go on the ice. Then one of my teammates told me that I got drafted by Moose Jaw. So it's pretty funny looking back how it turned out. But it was a great process, and I love Moose Jaw so much.
Did you happen to message any of your buddies or even look back at the draft to see, if any of your friends got drafted by Moose Jaw?
Later on in the day I did, and of course through social media you got to see that, and with all the kind messages, and yeah, I did find out that two of my teammates actually went to Moose Jaw, so it's pretty funny.
Well, you did make your WHL in debut in 2017. What do you remember from that debut?
I don't remember too much, honestly. It was against the Kootenay Ice, now the Winnipeg Ice, but it was in Moose Jaw, and yeah, I don't remember too much about the game, but I know I was extremely nervous, and with all the emotions and everything, you have the cage on, and I remember just going out there and just trying to relax and play my game.
How fun is it playing in front of friends and family?
It's unbelievable, especially your first one. It's something you'll never really forget, and playing in front of all the fans as well, and in that massive arena, you're not really used to it. So yeah, it was extremely special, and in a way humbling, because they sacrificed their time and their money to get me where I am today. So you have to go out there and just put that to the side, but yet play your game and play hard.
Well, you appeared in 9 WHL games, 2 points, 1 goal, 1 assist. But what's your story of your first WHL goal?
Yeah, I remember this one pretty vividly. It was in Saskatoon against the Blades. I think it was my third game, and it was a partial break. I jumped into the rush to make it a 3-on-2, and it was Noah Gregor. He's with San Jose, and Jaden Holgowatz. He's with San Jose as well. And Jaden was 20 and Gregor was 19 at that time. And yeah, it was just kind of a partial break, and they got it to me, and I actually kind of ended up on a partial breakaway. And I remember I kind of blacked out, and I just shot it and it went above his blocker. So yeah, I just remember kind of blacking out, and but I still remember that feeling of scoring your first Western Hockey League goal. It was really special.
Noah Gregor, he did make his debut this past season for San Jose. Did you happen to catch any of the games that your fellow teammates played in this year in the NHL?
The odd one, I would get to see, but when I was 15, the team was extremely strong. Like guys like Brett Howden, Josh Brook, Jet Wu, Jaden Hobogawatz, he scored 70 or 71 goals that year. Just guys like that, and I definitely took advice from them and seen how professional they are, and brought it into my game and into just my well-being as a person too.
You also appeared in 2 playoff games that same, rookie season, or before your official rookie season. But how pivotal were those, playoff games for your development?
They were huge, especially going into my 16-year-old year. You just got to experience that adrenaline rush and playing in front of all those people, and how intense the hockey is. It's a major jumping from midget AAA to the Western Hockey League. It's pretty crazy actually. But yeah, I think just having those couple of shifts did a lot for me as a 16-year-old, and moving on, it was a big key.
Now, I'm not sure, if you share the same thoughts, but as a fan here, and I'm watching, the NHL playoffs, for example, but it seems like the ice is is much more shorter out there in the playoffs than it is in the regular season. So given that thought, how do you adjust your game for the playoffs?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think whenever I think of playoff hockey, it's more physical, it's more intense. You're playing to win every single shift. So I think just kind of watching your watching yourself, and watching your cardio, and really just reading your body, because your body knows best, and your body. So, and I think you still have to maintain that cardio, but at the same time, it's playoff hockey, and you go out there 100% every single shift. So I think it's also communication with the coaches, just to talk to them and let them know how your body's feeling. But at the same time, it's playoff hockey, and you have that much adrenaline, and you're going out there to win a championship. So yeah.
In your first WHL season, in 2018-19, you registered 20 points in 57 games, which, was first in rookie D scoring. How rewarding was it, to accomplish that?
Yeah, it was a big step. It was definitely a confidence boost for myself. But by saying that, I got to play with Josh Brook, who's a second rounder to Montreal, and Josh is an unbelievable player. He taught me so much. He was 19 when I was 16, and he was probably one of the best defensemen in the league at that time. So yeah, it was really good just to play with him, and just to see him and how he does things. But yeah, I felt it was another big jump in my career to get a full season in the WHL. It was really big for me.
You mentioned that you played with Josh Brook. What did Josh bring to the lineup that would help you boost your play?
Well, definitely leadership. Josh, he was the captain that year, and he led by example, and he was a difference maker every single time he touched the ice. So I think those two things for sure, and just how he carries himself. He's a professional, and just the way he plays the game. He's so smart. He's a great skater. He's got great skills. So yeah, it was nice to read off that.
You played with Team Canada or Team Canada Black, I should say, at the U17 Invitational. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was the first experience playing for Team Canada, and obviously it's playing for Team Canada wherever, whenever. It's a dream come true, really. It's so special, and I enjoyed every single minute of that, competing against other countries for the first time in my career. And yeah, it was really fun. I think we ended up losing to Sweden in the quarterfinals, but by saying that, it was in friendships for life, and I think it was a great first impression on myself to Hockey Canada. So they seen what I can do and what I'm capable of.
It must be really fun as well, seeing these different, countries, that you're playing against. So it's not just the same, guys going up against that you're going up against on a daily basis in the dub, right? Like I know that, there's the import draft and all that, but it must be surreal playing against Russia, Finland, and Sweden.
Yeah, it's really cool. Every country kind of has their different type of strategies and the way they play, their structure. It's cool to see, and yeah, it's definitely a change of hockey. I remember going to U18s, and the ice surface is bigger, so it definitely changes the game a lot. You have to be more careful and so on, but yeah, it was a good first impression playing against other countries.
Well, speaking of those U18s, do you think it was hard to develop chemistry, with the team since, it's all three of the major, junior Canadian leagues coming together?
Yeah, it's not easy, but you have to give Hockey Canada lots of credit. They do lots of team builders and exercises for the team. So and Team Canada is all about that team mentality. So I think it just takes a couple days, and at the end of the day, we're all hockey players, so everyone gets along so good. So, but by saying that, it can be challenging, but it is what it is, and you click after a couple days.
What were some successes for that team during the U18s?
The Holinka or the U18 Worlds.
U18 World, sorry.
Yeah, we had a good tournament. We ended up getting fourth. We lost to USA. They're the powerhouse that year with Hughes. It was that draft, and yeah, they had a lot of good players, but we were really good too. But and I was an underager at that tournament. I got the chance to go overseas and play with the O1s, and it was a great experience. Made friendships for life, and it was really fun looking back. Yeah.
How do you game plan against a team like, Team USA at the time, which was regarded as the powerhouse because they had the Hughes, the Caulfields, the Turcottes, etc.
Yeah. It's a good question, but I think it's just having that preparation. Team Canada and the coaches, they do so much stuff off the ice with video, and how their power play works, how their PK works. So I think we do lots of video, and by saying that, it's all about preparation in yourself and just getting yourself ready for the game. Because once you hit the ice, it's that video and all the X's and O's, they don't really matter. It's just about going out there and competing and having fun as well.
Well, let's talk about the, Helinka Gretzky Cup. You finished as a silver medalist back in 2019-20. How long did it take for you to get over the loss?
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker. Their goalie, he played tremendous, and it definitely took a couple days just to get over it. Just knowing that gold medal is right there, and I haven't won a gold medal yet with Team Canada, so it's kind of like I failed my country in a way. So I was pretty hard on myself, just knowing that I lost the gold medal and it was right there. But by saying that, I was pretty proud just to win a silver medal too, and be part of that group. It was really special.
What does it mean to represent, the maple leaf on your jersey?
Yeah, it's extremely special. Like you can't really put it into words how special it is wearing a Team Canada sweater and going out there and playing in front of fans and playing for your country. It's just unbelievable the amount of the support you get, and just the adrenaline rush of playing for Team Canada. And growing up, I dreamed of playing for Team Canada, and as a Canadian kid, and just growing up playing hockey. So the first time I put on that maple leaf, it was unbelievable.
When was there a moment in, whether it was the U17s, U18s, or Helinka Gretzky Cup that, felt really surreal for you, that really, felt real, that, okay, now I'm playing for Team Canada?
Yeah, I think it was at the U18 Halinka. We were in the Czech Republic and we were playing against the Czech Republics. So I remember the rink's a bit older, and um, the fans were just unbelievably crazy, and it was so loud in that rink, and it was a good game too. I think we ended up winning that game by a couple of goals, but yeah, just like having that amount of that crowd right over top of you, it was very surreal, and it was so fun to play in. So I think probably that moment.
In your third WHL season, you registered 15 points in 28 games. What was so memorable about that year for you?
That's a good question because my 17-year-old year, it was there's a lot of negatives. A lot of things didn't go my way, but looking back, again, it's just the friendships you make. Some of those guys I only played with for only 1 year or a couple months because of COVID. So um, yeah, I think just the friendships. I still talk to some of those guys every single day. So definitely that.
How did your game develop during your 17-year-old year?
Well, I think I took the time in the summer just to get bigger and stronger, and it just comes with time and maturity. And I just, you get used to the hockey. It's a big jump from midget to the Western Hockey League, but as soon as you get adjusted to it, you're off and you're running. And yeah, so I think just getting used to the hockey, and I was part of the leadership group that year, so that was a big step. And yeah.
Well, you did mention, like, it was, although you thought it was negative for yourself, you got named assistant captain. So what were your emotions like when you either went into the locker room or the coach's office to see the A on your jersey?
Yeah, it's obviously special. I'm I take a lot of pride playing for the Warriors, and to have a letter, there's a lot of responsibility, so it felt pretty good.
When did you find out that, the season was going to get canceled because of the impending coronavirus?
I think it was April, March. There was rumblings about this new virus coming out, and I think middle of March, kind of start of March, there was rumors that the league was going to get canceled, and it's funny to say that because I was coming back from an injury. I had surgery in my 17-year-old year, and I was out for 3 months, and I got back. I did physio. I worked out for 3 months, and as soon as I come back, I get 4 games in, and then the season finishes. So it was a heartbreaker, but yeah, I think it was definitely a lesson learned too.
Well, at least, because you did get drafted by the Minnesota Wild that summer. So, reflecting back, it's not as though that all the hard work that you put in with all the physio and the recovery treatment went for nothing in a sense, you know?
Yeah, that's right. My body, it's potentially it's my whole career and what I do for a living. So I always have to take care of it, and yeah, definitely getting drafted by Minnesota, it was definitely a huge reward. Being at home with my family and friends and seeing myself on TV, and yeah, it was really special, and to see your reaction on TV, and so yeah, it was special, and getting the phone calls from Bill Guerin, the GM of Minnesota, and scouts, and my phone was blowing up that day. So yeah, it was one of the best days of my life.
So, speaking on that phone call, what were your immediate reactions? I can only assume that it was just like elated happiness, best day of your life.
Yeah, it was. I remember that first phone call, and I'm just kind of in shock, like I'm still shaking a bit, and I get a phone call, and it's Bill Guerin, and I'm like, wow, like I was kind of speechless in a way. So, but like, yeah, it was just an unbelievable day, and as soon as I got drafted, lots of friends and family came over to my house to congratulate me, and um, yeah, it was definitely surreal too.
Street party at the Hunt's house, that was for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
how did you prepare for the draft, given that you were coming off an injury and, with the whole season that was postponed at the time?
Yeah, to start it off, I had so many Zoom calls with teams. They just want to get to know you and see how you are as a person, and just, they'll quiz me a bit. But lots of teams weren't sure where I was going to go and where they really wanted me, because in that 17-year-old year, I didn't score a goal, and there's a lot of question marks under my name. And yeah, it was pretty tough, but at the same time, it didn't really bother me too much. I just wanted to go to the right team, and I ended up going to a great team, a great spot. But yeah, so there was a lot of question marks, and whether I was going to go, second round or the sixth round, you don't really know. And especially waiting for your name to be called throughout that whole day, I was sweaty palms and I was getting anxious. And as soon as I heard my name get called, it was a lot of relief, and that's done with, and now I can just celebrate.
Well, it was quite the extended off season for you, but at a point in time, the WHO did announce they were returning. What were your reactions like when they did announce they were returning?
To the bubble?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think we were just waiting and waiting and waiting, and I was waiting for that whole fall, that winter, and then I got the chance to go down. Uh, I think it was early January. I got to go down to Iowa and play a couple of games in the AHL and see what the pro life is like and living on your own and all that stuff. So it was huge for my developmental side. And going from playing pro hockey, then coming back to the Western Hockey League to play in the bubble, my game just elevated. And I felt like I was ahead of the game playing in the WHL now. Like, my game's just that much faster. I can react and think that much faster just coming back from pro.
Did you have to take kind of like a step back and realize, like, holy shit, like this is how good my game is now?
In a way, yeah. It's quite crazy how fast things can develop. And just from playing pro hockey, I remember the first time I stepped on the ice playing pro hockey, I was like, holy man, like, it's fast. Like, you have to move your feet, and you can't be, your head always has to be on a swivel. And I got used to that. And then coming back to the WHL, it was like, wow, like, I can, really control the game, and I'm ahead of everyone. I'm bigger and stronger than everyone. So in a way, it was fun, but at the same time, because I felt like the game was slower, I had to keep elevating my game. I couldn't adapt to the slowness of the WHL by saying that the WHL is not slow. I'm just getting that much bigger and stronger.
Now, I'm not sure if you were in the same bubble as the Regina Pats, but they had the breakout sensational star Connor Bedard, and if you were in the same bubble, how did you end up defending him?
Yeah, I ended up playing a couple games against Connor, and you can just see right away how special this guy is. Like, it was just fun to watch him. Just him at 15 years old, it's just unbelievable how special this kid is. And defending him, it's not easy. You don't know what's going to come, and with his speed and skill and his shot, he can shoot it right through your legs, and he can pull it in, whatever he can do. But yeah, so it was definitely fun to see a phenom like him, just to see where he's at his age. It was really special.
Well, in 23 games in the shortened season, you got named captain, and you had 18 points. But what was it like playing in an empty arena?
It was different. It was a lot of adjusting. There's no atmosphere, so you kind of have to really support your teammates, and you have to talk lots and keep the guys motivated. And for me, I'm the captain, so there's definitely a bit more pressure on me to be the go-to guy and always being there for the guys. So it was great for myself just to experience that.
If I had told you that, if I had told you 1 year ago that you would be playing in an empty arena, would you have believed me?
I don't think so, no.
It's crazy.
Yeah, a lot of things happened over the course of that spring and summer in that whole COVID area. But yeah, I'm just fortunate to got to play and be part of that bubble, because hopefully that never happens again. But at the same time, I did have lots of fun.
Reflecting on your WHL career, what stood out for you the most?
I think just the grind of the schedule. You play 68 games in a year on a regular year, and it's very exhausting mentally and physically. So, and I think just kind of turning in from a kid to a pro, it's very key, and with time it comes. But and as well, just the strength of the game and the speed of the game, and just adapting to it. It takes a while, but as soon as you get it, you grasp onto it, and you don't let it go.
Let's talk about your, quick AHL, stint with the Iowa Wild this season. Was there a mentor that really helped you get adjusted to the style of play in the American League?
Yeah, I think just being that young guy, and on a regular year, I wouldn't even be able to play in the AHL. So, in ways, COVID was a benefit. There's a lot of negatives, but it was a benefit because I could go down as an 18-year-old and get some experience to play some pro hockey. But I think everyone really supported me, and all the way from my teammates to the coaches to the player developmental uh, guys. But yeah, I think just everyone really supported me, and knowing that I was a young guy coming in. And I remember when I was a young guy coming into the WHL, having that support, and not now, it's kind of it all starts over again. But so I know what it's like now, being an older guy in the WHL, having these young guys come in and being a mentor for them, and leading by example, and being a pro. So things happen fast, but it's been a great experience, and I'm happy so far in my career. Yeah.
Well, you should be happy because you actually scored your first AHL goal this past season. How important was that to get the monkey off the shoulders?
I mean, yeah, it was definitely special. Again, just scoring another first goal, especially a pro goal. But I wasn't too worried about scoring a goal in the AHL in my stint. Just being down there and getting to play games, by itself, it was very special. But just by scoring a goal, it just made things a lot better.
Did you find that your game was going to get better the more you played?
Absolutely. Yeah. You, your game just adapts, and you get adjusted to the speed and the strength and how things work. And before you know it, in a couple, like 2 months in, when I was down in Iowa, like I was starting to become a pro and how things work, and I could keep up with the game, and I could pick my spots to jump to the rush. So just little things like that, they go a long way.
When did you find out that you were going to sign your first pro contract with Iowa?
It was May 4th. Um, yeah, that was besides the draft, another extremely special day for me. There's one thing to get drafted, but another thing to get signed into the NHL. And another dream come true for myself. And yeah, I remember just getting a phone call from my agent and some chatter, and before I knew it, ended up signing a paper. So another surreal moment in my career.
Not a bad way to end off the May 2-4 weekend.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
If you were to get a chance in the shootout, what would be your go-to shootout move?
5 hole, big 5 hole. You bring him to one side, go to the other side. He'll open up the 5 hole and just slide it in. Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up this interview here, do you have any advice for aspiring hockey players?
Yeah, yeah. There's so many things, but I think for me, it's just focusing on yourself. There can be a lot of distractions, especially today with social media. I get caught up in it, whatever it may be, rankings. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is what you do and how you do it and how hard you work. And just if you focus on yourself, things it'll come. Things take care of themselves, and just have fun too.
Well, I'd like to thank again Daemon Hunt for joining me on today's podcast. Thank you again, Daemon.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks very much.